Hello and welcome to the Portrait Podcast. At a convening on October 25th and 26th, 2022, the Nevada Department of Education teamed with ed.Xtraordinary to launch the Portrait of a Nevada Learner. While community members from across the state attended presentations and workshops, they were also invited to sit down and be interviewed by young people from the community to share their perspective. Each week, we will drop one of these short conversations to inspire your thinking as we build a community-wide vision for who we want our young people to be. Enjoy.
We are back with another episode. Good afternoon, Las Vegas. We have two wonderful ladies sitting with us here today on our podcast. It is your host again, Demarie.
And Adamari, our two guests.
My name is Tammy Haddad.
And my name is Carrie Stark.
Amazing.
And let's get right into it. So first off, let the people know, what do you do? How is your day going?
My day's going great. I get to be in Vegas in beautiful weather where it's cold.
Can we get Vegas?
It's cold in Reno right now, but I am the state director for the 4-H Youth Development Program with University of Nevada, Reno.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. I also work for UNR's extension office, but instead of in Reno, I work in Las Vegas, and I work with STEAM programming.
Amazing.
Oh.
Love that. We love that.
We love to see it. So, our first question. If you were here yesterday, what's something exciting that you learned from yesterday or today's conversation?
So I was here yesterday, and what I learned is all of this that they're talking about is things that we already do within our 4-H Youth Development Program. So it is...
You guys are a step ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
it's great because we can then support our schools across the state.
Yes.
As we start doing this. And I loved hearing the youth voice yesterday and today. That to me is so critical when we're talking about education. If we don't hear from our young people, how can we make education better?
Definitely.
Yes.
They're the ones who can tell us.
Right.
So
Definitely.
Yes, I enjoyed the youth panel today as well. My biggest takeaway from today was I love the futuristic mindset that the presenters today had. They were talking about how kindergartners are going to be 100 years old because the average life expectancy is increasing, and they're talking about the year 2100. I really liked that because I feel like it's just an awesome thing to do, be manifesting the future and really thinking about what we want our world and education to be looking like 100 years from now.
Definitely. It's amazing.
So, are you guys familiar with the right brain, left brain theory?
oh yes.
So, what side would you say plays more of a major role when it comes to the education system in these schools?
I would think, to me, actually, it's almost a balance of both. I think so many times we teach just very, very standard things, and we have to be creative. We have to allow, when you think about learning styles of kids, that's really what I think about with young people is our learning styles, and we have to reach all of those learning styles, and that is critical.
Definitely.
In terms of left brain, right brain, I don't think that theory is necessarily real. Same thing as Carrie, because they both work in unison. If I had to pick one, I would say the creative side, which I think is the left side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right side.
Yeah. So the creative side of your brain, because when you have a more analytical side, like that's probably helpful if you're trying to do things like memorization, which does happen in school sometimes. However, if you use the creative side of your brain, then you can come up with a creative way to memorize.
Yeah.
And it helps a lot. It really
Yeah.
Which is what I'm doing right now. I have a senior in high school who's taking anatomy, and we've been doing a lot of creative ways for him to learn
That's awesome.
anatomy because
That's
he's
awesome.
not a sit down and memorize.
Yeah, more of a hands-on
Yeah, I'm definitely
learner.
not a
Yeah,
sit down
me
and
either. I
memorize.
took anatomy as well for my last year in senior year,
Yeah.
and it was definitely a little bit difficult to process, but as long as I was hands-on, it helped
Yep.
me 100%.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Exactly.
All my passwords are in my notes.
Yep.
Like it's just,
Yeah.
and I don't want to put the same password for
Right,
every
right,
account.
right.
So it's just. But ladies, is there any advice before we close out, is there any advice that you would have to the peers, to students, or to anybody that you would just feel would help, or anything that you want to say?
I think my advice is we need to allow our young people to find their passion, whatever that is, and they need to explore that passion within their schools. There's so many times you can incorporate our core programs, you can incorporate math and,
Definitely.
math, science, English into those passions. My example, it's not really a huge passion, but is gardening. There's so many things that you can do. Or, I think about my son, his passion is wildlife. Well, there's so many times he has to think about, math, or, he looks at fisheries and, how many fish can be in this water, and he has to calculate that using algebraic equations.
That's awesome.
And so that's what we've got to do, that with our kids. That's what makes our young people excited to go to school. If they don't like going to school, then they're not going to stick with it, and they're not going to get the other skills they need.
Right.
Okay, my advice, I'm going to plug my 2 programs here. So the first one, my advice is volunteer for 4-H or get involved with your local 4-H program, because we have lots and lots of really awesome programming. And even if there is like some type of niche subject that you're interested in, 4-H can basically make that program for you. My second piece of advice is to listen to my podcast. It's called Cozy Rainbow Podcast. It's a children's podcast, and we have lots of fun. And if you like this podcast, you might like mine too.
That's amazing.
Thank you, ladies,
Love
so
that.
much for coming on our podcast and blessing us with your wisdom and just being, a voice advocate for the little guys, So we're closing out. You already know it starts here. We'll see you on the next one.
The Portrait Podcast was recorded and created by the young people from Choice Business Group. If you would like to join the conversation, please visit portrait.envyfutureoflearning.org. Again, that's portrait.envyfutureoflearning.org.